Rebecca, did you see it? Leah, Rachel. I'm looking. Really, sisters, I'm looking. Hold on here. They say it's sin. They said you sin. I'm looking. I am looking, my sisters. Just stay there. Hold on. Sarah, Rachel, Rick, Leah, all the ones in the Bible that participated in polygyny and built the kingdom. Oh my goodness. Let's find out. Did they commit sin by giving their handmaids, Hagar and all of them, to their husbands? I mean, I'm hearing on the world that polygyny is bad and men taking second wives are bad, and boy, is there a lot of advice on the internet. A lot of wise people saying they're wise, but I'm looking. Let's search together, my sisters, and do some reviews, shed some light on the matter. Investigation is going to happen, my girls. Stay tuned. So today we're going to go into it, my sisters, investigating why do women prey on married men? According to Carrie in Happy Wife School, which I recommend you go to her YouTube channel. She's a great psychologist giving advice, and I follow her. Hit her up, Happy Wife School. I'll put the link in the description. She is pretty good, okay? I'm not saying what she says is not good, generally speaking, but as Torah believing sisters, we don't just take it like that. No, we don't go by our feelings. No, we go by the Torah, by the BLBLE. So grab the book, right? We're going to investigate whether or not she is giving good advice about women preying on married men. I would rather say we pray for married women. We pray for them, not prey on them. And just the title alone of her episode, that's what it's called, Why Women Prey on Married Men. I will send you the link for that. And you can look it up. Hit me up in the text of what you think about it. I'm going to give you the short about it right now. Okay, so listen up to what she says. I'll pause and give a review, and we will investigate.
Women who prey on married men. One is enticing in that he's already married and committed, so if a woman doesn't want a commitment, then a married man is safe because she knows it's not going to go anywhere. Or she's a homewrecker.
Really?
And she's looking to steal a married man away from his wife and break up his family. Or...
before you keep on going, or I'm kind of losing track. So first she says, we are women who want married men or prey on them. Her definition of prey is that you approach the married man. And sisters, come on, let's be realistic. It's usually the men approaching you, right? So we're not preying on anybody. It's not like we're knocking down the doors or women are knocking down the doors of married men's house and saying, knock, 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 can I grab you? It doesn't really go that way. In reality, my dear Terry here, it doesn't really go that way. However, men approach, right? Men approach, and you didn't turn them down. The opportunity. So that's what she means by praying, because you didn't turn them down. All right. And you might have even prayed for them, prayed for them, and got answered to your prayer because a married man hit you up. Now, when the married man hits you up, my sisters, her next thing is that you were like looking for something that was not quite of a commitment because you didn't want commitment, so you allowed the married man in your life because he kind of was like a no-goer, that you can't get married to him, so therefore you attract him because you don't want commitment. This is what you just said. I'll play it another time. I don't really want to have a YouTube stripe. This is for educational purposes only. I'm using this, by the way. Love the sister for reviews, but I'm not using her to criticize her, okay? But women we don't do that. Most women want to get into sexual relationships because they want commitment because we want a husband. It's not just because we want to have fun. And if you're doing that, you are considered in the Bible, playing the prostitute and the harlot, right? The words I like to use. Because we need to bring shame back. My sisters, don't get comfortable with the world. Get out of the world, right? So if you are being hit up with a man, she's saying that you women, you sisters are the baddies. You're the baddies. You're the whole wrecker. We're going to look that up because I'll continue and then we'll go into it, okay? So let's see what else she has to say about the matter. My dear Terry.
Or she wants a married man to bankroll her and take care of her.
Bankroll her?
So it's important to know that that is a reality so that as women we can see where our behaviors lead and take responsibility for our part and role and why our husbands might have an affair or cheat so that we have control to show up kindly and lovingly so that they don't go outside the marriage.
No.
There are women who prey on married.
There are women who prey on married men. Now, her whole episode is about men cheating and how good men don't cheat, but bad men cheat. We'll go into that later. That's her definition, right? Again, it is the Happy Wife School on YouTube, okay? You can look her up, subscribe. She does have, generally speaking, really good advice. I'm just criticizing it, putting some Torah light on it, a biblical light on it. This is the worldly view, but I'm giving you the Torah view. Now, she says that women do that for bankrolling. Bankrolling means that the married man has money and we want the money. Now, come on, my sister's married or unmarried. The man has to provide for the wife, and that's what men do in a sense. And I don't think a woman approaches the man for money. Just like, a shepherd has multiple reasons to be in a sheep's life to benefit her. Shelter, shepherd, I mean husband, right? So it's the shelter, provision, sex, bearing children, having particularly in the kingdom a cover. So when she's saying that, you're only bankrolling, it's again a shame tactic. It's again those words that try to humiliate the woman, the outside woman, for being the object of attention from the husband. So in her perspective as a married woman herself, women who are outside are dangerous, bad, prey, who are just going to eat up their husbands. And you're just a terrorist to the wife in all ways. And that kind of mentality you guys can relate to, because if you're listening to this, you're married and you're getting the ick. I don't even know why you're on Call for Wisdom, because I keep on trying to encourage you to soften your heart, go on your knees and ask the Lord to soften your heart, because those feelings towards women in general are not particularly healthy and they're against Torah. Now, let us start from the beginning, because this is going to be a step by step detective episodes coming up. Detective episodes about adultery, about polygyny, about marriage, okay? And we're going to go through reviews. Now, starting with it, we got to start with the foundation. What does the Word of God say about what is lawful and what is not lawful? You got to go, first of all, to 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. And in 1 John chapter 3, verse 4, Paul is telling us that any transgression against the law is called sin, right? But also keep in mind that when the New Testament was written, there was no New Testament. Like, really, people only had the Torah. They only had the books of scriptures called what we call Old Testament. It's ridiculous. But that is what they went through. That's what Paul was studying. And law was always described as transgression against sin. I mean, sin was always described as transgression against the Torah, right? But nothing that is not, if it's not written in the Torah as a sin, it is not a sin. We cannot add things or subtract it based on our feelings. So that is, again, 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Look that up, okay? Put that in your note. First thing. So in progression, if it's not listed clearly as a sin, it is not a sin. So a man wanting another woman that is, beautiful and available, she's not married to anybody else, he is not committing a sin by doing so. He's not going outside of the marriage. That's another topic, because your marriage with him is separate. Every marriage is individual. We'll go through that another time. But today, we're going to go briefly. It's going to be a short episode. Into the beginning. Into the beginning. Let's go to the 10 Commandments. You know those ones by heart. Let's read the 10 Commandments because that is the beginning that we know of about the laws. Okay, so let's learn this, my sisters. And by the way, my sisters, if you're married and you have cover, I suggest you run this through with your head. Call your master, call your husband. Make sure what I'm teaching is correct and that you're allowed to absorb it because, I'm teaching females and some of you are single. Come join the club. Some of you are married. Seek advice from your husband. Get your teachings from him. But if you're not and you're free up, come along and hang out with me in the Bible studies. And you brothers, love you at the back. I really do. Thanks for the support. Okay, now we're going to it. Exodus chapter 3. Exodus chapter 3, 10 Commandments. Let's go all the way to chapter 12, which I love. And we're going to read all the way to, not chapter 12, verse 12. It starts like this. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be prolonged in the land which the Lord your God gives you. Honor them. Great. Next commandment. You shall not murder. After that, you shall not commit adultery. Very clear. Now it goes next. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. I love these commandments because they kind of bunch up together. You notice that? Verse 15 says, you should not steal. You should not steal. So when a man commits adultery, he is stealing something that he has no right to. It does not belong to him. It belongs to somebody else, right? I can't steal a loaf of bread that is for sale that I can buy. That is me purchasing it. But if I don't pay for it and I take it and it belongs to somebody else, I'm stealing, right? So you're not allowed to steal. Same thing like adultery. Adultery is like stealing. The next thing is that you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. So all of you who are accusing men of committing adultery is committing this particular commandment crime. You're breaking this one because you are right now bearing false witness against your neighbor. You're saying that he did something that he did not do, my sisters and my brothers. If you are not knowing of the law, you better hush up because every word that we say, we're standing in the grand court and we're saying, ooh, David committed adultery with the 17 wives that he had, which is not true. David only committed adultery once. He got forgiven after that because y'all forgave him when he took Bathsheba who belonged to somebody else. He stole Bathsheba from another man. Therefore, he committed adultery. And then the commandment after that is very related to adultery. It says, you shall not covet. You shouldn't even desire it in your heart. You should not covet your neighbors, what belongs to your neighbor, anything that belongs to your neighbor. Therefore, you should not covet your neighbor's wife. Why? Because she belongs to your neighbor, right? Just like the male servants and the female servants listed, and the ox and the donkey. My sisters, I know you got triggered by that, but you are the belonging of the husband. And if you are not yet married, you belong to your father. And any man who comes and steals you away, he got something coming for him because the commandments say thou shalt not. So therefore, the definition of adultery is based on who the woman belongs to. It is about the status of the woman. Now, I've said this before, but let us just remember that when we go through these little scenarios about marriage, that you need to know, first of all, if it's not written in the Bible as a law, then don't go adding to it based on your feelings. Oh, I don't like polygyny, so I'll call it sin. You are bearing false witness when you call something sin that is not listed as sin and it's not spoken of sin. There's lots more we're going to go through, but we're going to take it one step. So don't call it that. You're breaking the commandments. Don't steal what belongs to somebody else. And if the woman is married, she belongs to a husband, and a man goes into her and takes her, he is committing adultery. Otherwise, he's free. So my sister here in Happy Wife School, she was trying to say that, the man went outside of the marriage and the woman is evil in a way. That's what she's your word, the home wrecker, and we call them all kinds of W names, and we call them really bad. We call women who are praying, praying, but they really are praying for a husband, and Yah answers those prayers by sending a married man to them. We call them evil words, but let me just remind you, my sisters, that there's some benefits, remember? Benefits in actually being interested in a married man, especially if he's a Yah-fearing married man, not a foreign man, not one that is in the world. I'm talking about a Yah-fearing married man who has his stuff in order, understands headship. There's so much to teach. Step one, right? But I think they can commit. The same thing that she was complaining about is that women look at them because they can commit. They've already married one. So it's not like he's going to fool around with you very long. If he knows that he wants a second wife, he's going intentionally to get a second wife. Just like a man goes out to buy a second sheep and to get a second car and to own a second house. If he can afford it, he goes and looks for it. As long as he can afford it, right? They provide, of course. It's based on their own means, and not all men have the means to provide for a second wife. Neither do they have the biological needs to give them sex. Like their sex drive is not there. They feel like they're content with one, and that's great. It's their option, right? They don't have to have polygyny, but they feel like it because they desire more. And desiring more and having a bigger family and desiring more love is what men are able to do if God, Yah, grants them the gift to do so and the desire to do so. It's not a bad thing. And we see that in them as women. And they approach you. Most likely they're the ones that approach you. We're not hunting them down, my sister, in Happy Wife School. It's not women hunting them down. Stop speaking negatively about women. This is not what the Most High did, right? This is not how it goes. When Rebecca was with Leah, remember Leah was the first married to Jacob, the first one. And Rebecca was given after. She was the second wife. Did she go hunting her down? She was given. Wives are given to husbands, right? So let's be nice and kind to our sisters. Moving on to the next one to attack, looking for the adultery, looking for the sin. And you know what? It's really hard to find because you can't commit adultery with a single woman. But they say so. Good luck with that.